And now, it's time for...
More dirty jokes.
Nope.
It's a big vibrating box with a bunch of batteries in it.
Try again.
I'm gonna explain it to you if you guys shut up.
It's kind of amusing.
This is the RPM Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RPM Podcast. Formula One is on summer break, so that means Nick Rendo is too, but we replaced him with somebody better, and that is our buddy coming back for the second time, Robert French, legend car driver at Wall. What's up, Robert?
Not too much. Just work.
Robert is the one who, if you're watching on YouTube, was so kind enough to donate this rather large, sharp television for us for your viewing pleasure. Across from him is the usual Sam Ballard Jr., and across from I is Josh Matthews.
Yo.
What's up, Josh? How are you?
Clouds.
Clouds? Yeah, that's true. There are clouds.
I don't know.
That's deep, Josh.
Speaking of clouds, it was a rather sunny day at Wall Stadium Speedway, and I mentioned that because you got to come back to the track for the first time. That was pretty cool.
It was really cool. It was so awesome to be back.
Had a helmet collection by the track, which Josh notified me at the beginning of the week. All you lovely people at Wall Stadium Speedway helped raise $2,000 for Josh and his family in his fight against APL leukemia.
Bang, bang.
Which
Thank
is
you.
amazing. I noticed that the number 57 wristbands went flying. In fact, Andrew Krause came up to me and said, hey, do you have any more? And I actually didn't. And so if you see anybody wearing a red wristband with a number 57 on it, it's for this guy. And in fact,
didn't know about that.
in not too much time, I will sit down and take the time to put an eBay link up for these, because eBay is kind of the best way to sell something online nowadays, just direct to consumer. Because Amazon charges a whole bunch of fees. So
Like Craigslist looks like the new eBay
yeah,
in this area.
it can be, but it depends. Craigslist has a lot more unhappy endings than eBay. eBay very rarely will lead you down
You
a
would
dark
know.
alley.
Yeah, but so you know from
It's depending-
experience.
It's depending on what you're selling.
Listen, you're supposed to get a
Justin.
dick cleaning.
I'm a man-seeking female. So, no, but in all seriousness, eBay is there. That is a section on Craigslist, by the way. I wasn't insinuating anything. I noticed when we were selling these to my nephew that eBay happened to be one of the best things to just get information, ship, mail it out. You can charge X amount of dollars for shipping and all that stuff. So keep your eye out for these because they're coming. You know what else is coming? The NASCAR playoffs, they call it. They didn't even call it the chase anymore, which is something that hasn't set in yet for me.
I
Well, that's
thought-
because nobody says the chase. It's always the playoffs.
But I feel like the chase was something unique, something that stuck out.
You're
Like,
unique, and that's like a
'cause-
lowercase u. That's not even a capital U.
I like that. I like that it sounded different.
The chase
Yeah, but it was something that
sounds like an STD.
stuck out. I'm reading our notes, and they're terrible.
That's what I'm here to do.
Ooh, don't die, Josh. This is great.
With that, we had the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series at Watkins Glen this past week, and the New Jersey's own Martin Truex Jr., the New Jersey's own, because he's the only one, really, he's the only New Jersey native in the Cup Series right now, got the job done. Didn't seem to have the fastest car. Even though Matt Kenseth had said it post-race, I think Kyle Busch was a tick quicker than Truex on the weekend, forgetting the fact that Kyle Busch kind of beat the field by half a second in qualifying.
Yeah, but Martin Truex got gas.
But that was the thing. Kyle kind of beat himself once again, tangled with Keselowski in the interlude mid-race, and that kind of reignited a rivalry, which, we've been accustomed to seeing nowadays.
At Watkins Glen between the two.
Yeah, I still have to see
Dingleberries.
that. I still have to see the helmet cam for that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's so many cool things about it. Speaking of helmet cams, we're going to talk to you later about something that you had to encounter about 1 week ago. But back to the...
In his race car, folks.
Yes, in the race car.
You
Not on
won't remember
Craigslist. But on the Watkins Glen side, very tame race. In fact, I was so surprised to find on JeffGluck.com's website, which Jeff Gluck, who was a former racing reporter for USA Today, now doing his own freelance site, kind of doing it the old school way, and I believe it's under one of those crowdfunding platforms, whereas, he's not charging a subscription service yet for it, but it sounds like it may or may not go down that road because he's trying to raise enough money to make enough money to travel and cover these races. He's even in a good enough position where he's hiring people to go do such things. But he breaks down the major storylines from Watkins Glen in a very clear and concise way. And one of the key notes that he had in there was the fact that this was the fastest Cup Series race in the modern era, all the way back to, and they call the modern era from 1972 on, because I guess that was when R.J. Reynolds stepped in and began sponsoring the Cup Series, was 1972. So you have to go all the way back to 1971 to find a race that was quicker in elapsed time than the race that we saw on Sunday, and it was even faster in terms of time than the Xfinity race on Saturday, which was 8 laps shorter than the race on Sunday, which was really surprising. Key factor is there was only 3 cautions. 2 were for the stage breaks. One of them, I believe, was just for a stalled car. So the race flew by, really tame for road course standards, something we've not grown accustomed to seeing.
Especially at Watkins Glen, usually there's one, Daytona or rather restrictor plate equivalent wreck where they bounce off the guardrail back in front of somebody else and end up tangling 7 or 10 cars.
You know, I liked Jeff Burton. They were going through Wreck List, and they showed the first one of like 2010 with him. And he was like, so here I am eating the guardrail.
Yeah, and funny you mentioned Jeff Burton, because I want to get into that in just a moment as well. But in the race itself, now another thing that I'm stealing a lot from Jeff Gluck because his breakdown was just so spot on. A lot of people would say that race was dull. I don't think it was dull, and the reason why is because the finish was in doubt all the way up to the last corner of the last lap, and then
But
even
you
then,
like
it was
fuel
kind of in doubt.
mileage races. You've admitted this. You like the fuel mileage races.
Because it leaves the finish to be uncertain.
Yeah, I
it
like it when the
creates
finish is
He likes the
uncertain.
uncertainty
Yeah.
of everything in his life.
it
like
creates
when-
tension.
Well, like when you watch like Xfinity or whatever, and Kyle Busch is racing, you know he's gonna win. Yeah.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were to go back to Michigan in the Xfinity Series race that Kyle Busch was on the pole, he got taken out in the opening lap. It's like all of a sudden, window of opportunity opens. You're like, hey, Kyle may not win this thing now. Same thing with the truck race at Pocono last week, or 2 weeks ago, I should say.
But
now.
I think the whole problem with all the mile-and-a-half tracks is that they all come down to fuel mileage. It seems, and
Well,
the
this
stages
was
have helped.
a
Well,
nearly
Watkins
2 mile
Glen's a little
road
bit bigger.
course. So
I know, but
huge.
what I'm saying is, if you follow the trend of one of the things that caused it to be boring, or for a lot of other people anyway, is it's not action. It's it's who can conserve fuel. And Truex, like he even said, it was the hardest thing for him to let people pass him for the lead, but he was doing it to save fuel. And yes, it ended up working out. I'm not denying that. That was the strategy that won. And if if it were me, and my crew chief was saying, yeah, conserve, you got to do it.
I think it was more obvious, though, to watch him race that he was clearly saving fuel than everyone else. Ryan Blaney didn't get the message.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
just
Blaney
saying
was
it
just
wasn't.
gone. I mean, he just took off, and then he had a pit with 2 to go. Also, Brad Keselowski was on a different fuel strategy, so he had a
And
pit
they
even
made
before
he made
Blaney
it longer than they thought he was going to. It was
Yeah.
like 6 laps to go, and Keselowski was still out front.
did. And then even down to the final lap, when Matt Kenseth, who was running second, began to close in on them. Also, Clint Boyer was in the mix as well. He finished with the top 5. And the reason why that's important is because they're battling for that final, what is now the final playoff spot, subject to change if somebody else gets a win. But going into turn 6, Truex locked up the left front. You thought, uh-oh, maybe Kenseth's got a shot here. Then they go into turn 7 off the final corner, and Truex pulls low and starts wiggling the car around. I wish I could ask Martin, and we know enough people who may be close enough to him that they probably could. Was that a fluke? Or did he think he was running out?
I think
or
it
was that
was.
just to kind of, give us something to talk about? Because it looked like he was running out of
Did
fuel
you
when
see
he
the
came off the
10-minute
final
burnout
corner.
he did afterwards?
That's the thing. He had plenty of fuel left to do a burnout.
And then make it back to victory lane?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Makes me want to buy a Camry.
Now, one of the cool things...
Said no one ever.
See, even though Truex is from New Jersey... Good timing. Even though Truex is from New Jersey, he mentioned this track being so important to him. And you can kind of relate it to Friday when the East Series was running there. Back in the day when what was then the Busch North Series was racing, Watkins Glen was an annual stop for them. So he used to go up there all the time with his dad when they were competing in that tour. And, he said he never would have thought that he would have a chance to not only race there, but win there. We knew he was a decent road racer. He's had some really good, strong finishes there before. Has the win at Infineon in 2013.
He's been really good this year with road courses.
But that's the thing.
He's been good everywhere.
This
Yeah.
year, that team just he is close to
Wait,
having
did you call it
nearly.
Infineon?
Yes, I did. You caught me. Sonoma. Yes, Infineon dropped their sponsorship rights a couple years ago. Josh wins.
Didn't Ryan Truex race in that Busch race?
He did.
Or East Series, whatever it is, Canada East
he
Series.
won the pole. Had a flat tire late, and I believe was it Will Rogers who got the win. I believe that was the name of the driver who won that race. And as Robert French and Stan were alluding earlier, we also had the Xfinity Series race on Saturday, which there isn't much to talk about because Kyle Busch was in it, and he ended up winning the thing.
Yeah.
So, rather bizarre weekend at Watkins Glen in terms of it not being too exciting. One thing I'm curious, I want to pitch to you guys if you were watching the telecast on Saturday or Sunday, was this new hybrid production format that they put in place, where they had MRN radio announcer Mike Bagley in the turns. They had Parker Kligerman doing some play-by-play. They had Jeff Burton doing some play-by-play. What did you guys think of that format if you had a chance to watch it? Robert, I know you didn't get to see most of the race itself.
Well,
but
I was working the whole time, so I couldn't
yeah,
see any
very
of it.
good reason. But for you guys on the other side of the table, did you get to see that unfold? And if so, what were your thoughts?
I liked that they were trying to spread people out around the track so they could keep an eye on different things as opposed to having the 3 guys in one booth trying to just watch over the track and via the monitors. I mean, I know the guys at their individual locations had monitors and were trying to make calls based on that, but I think something was lost in the dynamic of, when they're in the booth together, and Eric, you know this, as, you announce at Wall, passing it off to the other guys, and as you take a ball as the other guy jumps in, and I think even as we do the show and we can look and read each other, it's a lot easier to make it flow and less clunky. And while I like what they were trying to do, it started to feel a little clunky as they passed it off from one person to the next.
My biggest thing was they called freaking Mike Bagley Bagman. It's like a freaking superhero to bother the crap out of me. His name's Mike.
Well, they call him the Bagman, like on the morning drive show that they host.
Yeah,
on
what the hell does that
SiriusXM.
mean?
But it's just a nickname.
Put the money in the bag.
Just like we have the King of the Legend sitting over here. It's just a nickname. That's what it stands for.
Well, I like the MRN, and I'm sure Eric Bryan would admit it because he'd like to get a career in it. So I'll say the elephant in the room. MRN should be doing all of the Cup races.
Well, I will say this. Now, go ahead, Josh.
I want to say it was interesting to have Lee Diffie
That's
announcing, and I thought it was good, and it threw me off. I'm not gonna lie, it threw me off.
I thought I was
because-
watching a F1 race. I got excited for a second. Then I saw the Cup cars. I was like, freak.
Now, I liked it. I thought he was good. He brought some excitement, and it was one of those things where the other guys, I don't think, were used to him.
He's
And
Australian.
the flow was the reason it might have seemed awkward. But I know a lot of, I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, but I saw in my newsfeed some people that weren't happy, like, who is this British guy? He's Australian, but who's this British guy yelling at the camera? And, I can't watch this. And, like, wow, no culture.
I can't believe we're talking about announcers on the RPM podcast. But if we
Again.
have to, I think Lee Diffie wins the award.
well. Here's
I
the
thought
thing.
it was good.
It's obviously there's something I'm very passionate about, but
You don't say.
With that in mind, I just can't fathom the idea of people who didn't like Diffie simply because of the fact of his accent. I mean,
He
folks,
brought excitement.
Exactly. It's time to evolve a little bit. I mean, you can't.
You mean Rick Allen's call the 5 to the bottom of the 48? Oh, yeah, whoa.
Well, I think I like Rick
There's
Allen.
a wreck.
And I've had a chance to talk to him before, so I don't,
Bring back Bob Jenkins.
Something's been weird where it seems like that. It kind of sounds like a soundboard sometimes when Alan's been calling races lately, where it's just insert number here, insert turn here, insert crash here. So it's a little weird. Diffie just had so much energy in all of his calls this weekend, but when you read some of the Twitter reactions, it's because it was an Australian accent they were hearing, and people were all turned off by it. I mean, seriously. I mean, the only thing whenever I hear,
America.
I mean, people make fun of my accent.
Straight down
'cause
to
I'm
our
from-
racing
I'm from New York.
announcers.
And okay, New Yorkers are known for some pretty crappy things. Whenever you hear that type of accent, like the Australian or the British accent, all I can think of is sophistication and class. I mean, maybe it elevated NASCAR.
You've been around
for somebody.
Rendo too much, though.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That was a.
When you see Boris head on the racetrack, you're like, crap.
Biffle's an idiot.
But on the other side of the
Take
fence,
care of him myself.
on the other side of the fence,
Where you said.
I felt that the entire broadcast was high energy, and the race was not an
It was a
action-packed,
thrilling
energetic
experience to witness. My life has been changed because Lee Duffy has announced a NASCAR race.
I'm not just talking about Lee, though. I'm talking about the entire production.
Is your boner
it just seemed,
done?
No. It just seemed to be completely high energy all throughout because of the system they had in place for a race that was not that
You know who
thrilling.
I like?
I think they were forcing it a little bit.
If we're talking about announcers, I like Jeff Burton. The reason why I like Jeff Burton is because he brings up all the time that he gets the crap end of the stick.
He does.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think people are just bothered by having like an Australian or whatever announce NASCAR, which is American sport. That's probably why they're like.
Yeah, it's probably the same people who are anti-Toyota, who
Yeah.
just they don't want Toyota in the sport because of whatever. I mean, it's just
They're afraid of change.
Insert World War II joke here.
Toyota has
Thanks, Obama.
factories in America too, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, like if a manufacturer has a factory in the States and giving people jobs and stuff, they should be able to be in NASCAR because it's American.
Yeah, so if Lee Diffie's an American citizen, he should be able to announce NASCAR. It should be
Yeah.
that, and I believe he is.
Even if he wasn't, what's the big deal?
That's my
Yeah,
point.
He's a
It's
freaking
not-
announcer.
But
Who
if I'm telling
cares?
you, if you were to read some of the things on social media,
But you don't. Smart people don't.
so-
Yeah.
it's just I just don't understand. I don't understand.
Fun
it this
fact
way.
for all those fans out there who's listening who wants to make a change in motorsports, if you get off your social media and actually try to change the sport, you do much better than sitting there and listening to what Jeff Gluck and people have to say about Lee Diffie.
Yeah.
Changes by Tupac Shakur is playing in my head right now.
Oh.
NASCAR Cup Series and the Truck Series will be heading to the Michigan International Speedway for the Cup's second time, and it will be the Truck Series one and only visit at that track. Speaking of some of that news, we saw that Bubba Wallace got a truck ride for this weekend, driving the number 99 team, same one that Timothy Peters went flipping over for in Texas.
Got big shoes to fill.
Yeah, the expectations are rather high. Also, the NASCAR Xfinity Series will continue their road course swing on into Mid-Ohio, the same track where IndyCar just wrapped up some interesting bits of storylines there that we'll talk about on the other side of the break. Along with that, James Davison has been tapped to drive one of the Joe Gibbs Racing cars. He's a sports car ace, also sub for the injured Sebastian Bourdais in IndyCar. Be interesting to see what he could do. But the silly season news on the Cup side just continues to break and drop rather quickly. It was made official that Casey Kane will not be returning to the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports car. In fact, William Byron is slated to move up after just 1 year of Xfinity Series competition.
Before you got here, I was telling Josh, it's going to be another Joe Logano. They're moving up drivers way too quick. They're kicking guys out that, I'm not saying Casey Kane.
Chase Elliott.
Well,
Well, I hate to say it, though, but I kind of agree with Josh. I think
and
that
Chase had 2 years.
these
in
guys
Xfinity
need to
Series.
mature a little bit. It's like alcohol. Let them ferment a little bit. Let them get better with age. But the issue is now the sponsors want the young guns. The young guns.
Well, 'cause
Young
they're
guys.
kind of like fearless, though, young drivers. Like they're more like entertaining to watch because like they're gonna either hit the turn way too hard and wreck
True.
half the field,
True.
and like NASCAR like wrecks. Like most sports
Yeah.
do. Like for instance, like hockey like fights, but they still punish the players.
And something that Dale Earnhardt Jr. brought to light, which by the way, I can't wait until Earnhardt Jr. is officially retired because he has been the most insightful, informative, and open-ended race car driver that we've had in
He's
such
been
a long
NASCAR's
time.
leak.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Because he just has nothing to
Dale
lose
leaks.
anymore. And
He's
one
been useless as a driver this year.
wow,
That's because his equipment's
Well,
not staying.
Well, he's not really
comes
into
the
it
hate
anymore.
mail.
He just wants to just get over with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
I-
feels that way sometimes.
I was kind of hoping he would be in for the championship
Yeah.
this year. Because it's his last
Too
year.
much pressure. I
But
think.
after he got wrecked 3 times, I think he just gave
We
up.
still have Richmond.
yeah, Richard's
He's
still a
so
good track
far
for him.
behind point. He's 20.
But a
something
win gets him
points.
in.
It's gonna.
Hashtag just saying.
I think it's going to be hard. But with that, and he also had the blow motor at Watkins Glen. But one of the things that Junior insinuated when asked about the craziness that is of silly season, where you have guys like Kane and Busch, Kurt Busch that is, and Matt Kenseth all on the unemployment line right now for 2018.
Danica, too, possibly.
And potentially Danica Patrick, all of which not really sure what they're going to do next year. Junior said that he believes it's because of the fact that, now with the sport costing as much as it is, you can get a younger guy to fill these shoes for a lot less money. And I mean, Robert, you tested an ARCA car for, I believe it was Andy Seiss and his team at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you loved it. We've talked about it before on the show.
It was amazing.
If you had the opportunity to step into some type of ARCA ride or even a truck ride, I'm sure that you, as I would be willing to do it for a lot less money than, say, a Matt Kenseth or Casey Kane, a champion or a Daytona 500
As
winner.
long as the car is good, I'm in for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, if they're giving me crap pay and a crap car, I'm not doing it.
Well, yeah, but if
Yeah.
you feel you could be competitive, which a lot of these rides are that are turning it over to young guns now, like Eric Jones and William Byron and some of the others that may step up into these seats. Darrell Wallace Jr.'s name's out there for a couple spots, including the 10 car. I see you shaking your head, Sam, so...
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about this. I think it was a tweet that something not appropriate, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I'm Sam. The Hendrick Motorsports is now nothing but a bunch of kids and a 41-year-old 7-time champion. I thought that was funny.
Inappropriate.
I thought that was funny. I mean, think about Hendrick Motorsports now. Who do they really have now?
But considering the fact that these opportunities are so few and far between, you really can't value yourself anymore as a driver. You can't set a standard for yourself and think, I'm worth X amount of dollars. I'm worth, X million or whatever. And in fact, if you listen to, and I'm not trying to shy away from our show, of course, listen to us first and then go over to Dirty Mo Radio. There's a couple podcasts in Dale Earnhardt Jr. station. The one that he does, which I don't remember the name. And then there's Door Bumper Clear, which is the one with TJ Majors, his spotter, and Brett Griffin, who's Clint Boyer's spotter. They really kind of get down into the willy-nilly, so to say, of some of the specifics of this, including dollars and cents. And, I mean, Earnhardt Jr. was even saying, and I forget the number that he used, but he said, if I'm Matt Kenseth and I know my worth, I don't want to race for less than, let's just say, $10 million a year, while Eric Jones could get paid $4 million a year for that ride. I mean, that's a lot of money that
I want to make
saving.
a point of how many cars started the race.
37?
Yes, that's
How many?
37.
only 37 out of a potential 40.
Are you serious?
The field was that short for the first time in how long? Probably.
That means
Okay,
if you
good.
showed
So-
up to qualify, you qualify as long as you made it through tech.
Right.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
on the same breath, they only race road courses twice a year. Smaller teams, i.e.
Can't really
Tommy
aff-
Baldwin
yeah.
Racing, they don't really want to set a car up for just 2 races. So why should they?
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly tough for some of those organizations.
Yeah, but at this point, if there's that few, you could show up with a car not set up, start the race, and get your 500,000, and then go home.
Yeah.
You
If anything,
try and
like,
tell us something, Josh?
What?
Try and tell us something?
Well, I mean, and
I would do it.
we've started to see that on a short track level. I mean, we got guys, at Wall Stadium, and not just in the Premier Division, but it trickles all the way down where they'll start in park, not because they're going to make a lot of money, but because the system will help set them up for success down the road in terms of like handicapping and whatnot. So,
And as long as you take the green, you get a couple bucks back.
yeah, so I mean that start and park mantra is not something that's only privy to the Cup Series. However, they tried to neuter that by drastically cutting the pay for the back half of the field.
Who's this?
NASCAR.
NASCAR.
So, which I think in turn you're drastically hurting the back markers because you're just giving them less opportunity to catch back up.
Yeah.
So it's all something we're going to have to see as it continues to unfold. Silly season, the state of the sport, and so on and so forth. But there were a lot of things to look at going into both Michigan and Mid-Ohio this week.
I think NASCAR is gonna be completely different in like 2020. Like
That's not that radical of a hypothesis.
If they last till
for instance,
2020.
like I think the only like main driver can be there probably like Kyle Busch. All the other ones probably like retired by now or whatever.
That's exciting, though, on the same breath, though, because you guys like Christopher Bell, William Byron now in a Cup ride. Guys like Bubba Wallace, who doesn't really get a free, a fair chance. Ryan Preece, all these guys now that might actually be up there, fighting for championships in 2025, which is what, 8 years away.
Yeah, that's true. And speaking of it being different, I just want to pose one more question before we wrap up the segment. Eric Graham suggested something over the weekend about the road course racing element in NASCAR. He said they should go the IndyCar or the V8 Supercar route. Instead of running one relatively long race, you should run 2 short sprint races for whatever series in NASCAR, Cup, Xfinity, Truck. I'm curious what you
With
guys
what
think
kind
about
of break in between, though?
Day,
Well,
maybe like Saturday,
I
Sunday.
mean,
or-
I'm talking about repairing.
yeah, like probably a full day.
Okay.
So like how I mean like laps is like each segment.
Well, it was like 90 laps, so
Yeah,
45,
so I'd say
45.
45 or
Okay.
50-50, just something, just enough.
I like that, though. My
I
dad
mean-
sat down and he was like, I hate this crap. We were watching qualifying before the race. I go, what, qualifying? He goes, yeah, bring back the heat races.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean heat races are more entertaining than time trials. Plus like somebody like get wrecked or whatever like that has like the insanely fast car and it gives a chance for somebody who has a slower car to get into the race.
I like watching the qualifying on TV. Am I the only one?
I enjoy it. I enjoy time trials on the local short track because it's, only if I'm talking about it, though. If I'm in the grandstands, I hate it.
Yeah.
Can't stand it. I was watching, we'll talk about this later, but I was watching time trials at Stafford. It was just like, oh.
See, I wish they did European qualifying at Wall Stadium.
Actually, they did that for the modifieds at Stafford this past weekend.
Mhm.
I'm going to talk about that later.
All right.
We're going to talk about a whole bunch more. Like Sebastian Bourdais making his return to IndyCar. We talked about what his replacement's doing this coming weekend in NASCAR. We'll talk about what Seabass expects to do when he gets back in an IndyCar. Also, Global Rallycross is going to be making waves, literally, on the Jersey Shore. I'll tell you more about that later as well. And we'll keep picking Robert French's brain about a couple things. And we'll eventually start talking about some short track racing. All that and more when we come back to the RPM Podcast. Don't go anywhere.
Yay.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Brennan from the RPM Podcast. If you're looking for a dependable full auto repair and preventative maintenance center, then you need to check out O'Shea's Auto Repair in Wall, New Jersey. The family man himself, Tim O'Shea, has been providing the highest quality of automotive repair since 2000 on both domestic and imported cars, trucks, and SUVs. From race cars to street cars, O'Shea's Auto Repair covers it all. For more information, visit their website at o'sheasautorepair.com. O'Shea's Auto Repair, supporter of the RPM Podcast and proud sponsor of the O'Shea Auto Repair Factory stops at Wall Stadium Speedway. Welcome back to the RPM Podcast. Josh Matthews, Sam Ballard Jr., Robert French, and I'm Eric Brennan. Before I go any further, I just want to say a huge happy birthday to my mom.
Happy birthday.
Because
Happy
she's
birthday.
awesome, and she is cool with me actually being here doing this podcast. And
You
not
called her
home.
doll earlier, so.
So, listen, I am the first to admit that my mother is my best friend, and she's awesome. And
Do you refer to her as a broad as well?
No. I wouldn't refer to my wife as a broad.
I don't.
I don't know why. I find that term offensive towards women.
Stud's very offensive.
Stud as for a male?
Yeah.
I guess like
Look it up.
depending on
Look
the
it up,
year.
folks. You're welcome.
This is depending on the year, like what's offensive. Like 2017, everything, but like
Bunch of, yeah.
Yeah, right?
40, like 5, like you could
Bunch of
basically
freaking
curse somebody off and
snowflakes.
still be friends with somebody.
Trying to Urban Dictionary that. Yeah. By the way, don't ever Urban Dictionary something and then screenshot it and send it to somebody you actually care about, because odds are there is something on there that you will miss. And like
Did you search Lemon Party again?
so, no,
I never stopped.
I think it was fit. It was the term fit. Like I'm fit to do something. Like I'm
Like
cool
this
to do
podcast.
it.
And why were you searching this?
And I sent because my friends say it. My friends from New York, they say it, and I tried to explain it to a female friend of mine, and
Why are you up in my Kool-Aid, yo?
but I didn't read the "Can I use that in a sentence, please?" portion of it. And the guy, it was there's no clean way to say this. It's like, yeah, I'm fit to go run up on that girl, but he used other words than I'm fit to go run up on that girl, meaning.
Yeah.
You know, let your imagination run wild with that one. So it was a funny moment because she was cool, but
Thanks, Obama.
it was weird, very weird.
Oh, you ever hear like the saying "clutch"?
Yeah.
Like, that was clutch. Like that's so, like
Is that related to Ratchet?
probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just heard of it like three or 4 months ago for the first time.
Urban Dictionary.
I'm
is
too
my-
old
it's
for
my
this. I
top
need you
thing.
youngins to explain.
That's
these.
what Urban Dictionary is for.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not what Urban Dictionary is for.
It is. It'll keep
Urban
you,
Dictionary
it
is
keeps
trash.
You
I
up
mean,
to
I use
date.
Google for everything.
Google works.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on at Google.
He's very anti-Apple aside from his phone.
Yeah, well, just like you. You guys should start like an anti-Apple crusade.
Hey,
Well, there's only
hey,
one
hey.
person who has a. Apple.
I think you like.
I saw the silver. I didn't know if you suddenly got an
HP,
Apple
yeah.
laptop on
No.
me or something. So I played handball on Sunday, and I've been so sore ever since. Most fun I've had.
So how do you
forever.
touch those balls?
So no, my God, Sam. That's not where I am going with this. Though is I was listening to some other podcast.
I got a full body
which
massage.
is what I saw. No, apparently there's a service.
Got a full ball massage.
That's like it's funny because I was talking to somebody else and they use the same analogy. It's like Uber for massages. It's crazy.
Ew.
I checked it out because I didn't know what to get my mother for a birthday.
Was there a happy ending?
So well, it wasn't on the list, but I have
Hope
to
so
assume.
for his mom.
No, oh
That sounds
my
like
God.
a very sketchy like.
No, but it's
prostitution, like,
got
that.
the
The lube.
Hold on a second. It's bear with me, folks.
It's like
It's
God
an
help us.
actual thing. It's called Zeal, Zeel. Wait, Zeel. Yes, I spelled it right. Zeal.com,
Close
and
us
you
up
actually
right there.
schedule your you could actually pick your point, your time. And I was playing around with it last
Wonderful
night,
dry.
and I was looking at it at like 9 o'clock.
Do you get
And
paid for your masseuse?
I could have had somebody at my house at 10:30 at night for 1 hour. All I have to do is tell them how many flights of stairs, if I have a massage table or not, and if I have any pets, and if so, what. I guess because they're massage.
She's sitting there
therapists,
right
like,
now
whatever.
with Eric's credit
And-
card.
Hold on.
But I'm
What
saying,
the hell does that
no,
mean?
This is a legitimate company that you can call and have them come to your house and offer you a full service, like Swedish deep tissue sports
They're
massage.
showing like half naked people on tables
So-
right now.
Well, yeah, because that's what a massage is.
It's like saying like there could be more.
But they bring the table, they set the mood. I think they light the candles.
The Hershey
they
syrup.
hook everything up.
The whipped
Like,
cream.
You can get a couples massage at your house, like with these people.
But you don't have to worry about that.
So I was actually thinking about like scheduling them to come to Josh's house, like at the same time we were doing the podcast, like surprise, just film the whole
I'm the
thing.
big spoon.
I would love to hack that site and just put and more.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, Zeal, we just gave you a shout out for free. So, if you want, you can just come support the RPM podcast. We'll send you some T-shirts.
How would
and
a
stuff.
free massage be, you think? It's like a free pizza. Like, am I going to eat this?
Well, it was $140 if I was going to book it yesterday for them to come to my house. I was going to do it for me, and if I liked it, I would have given
is
it
it
to
like
my mom as a
flying?
gift.
So if you book
like,
it earlier, like the cheaper you get it? Like if you book one for next year, it's like
I'm
$90.
curious. I should try to see if I should get somebody here like next week, and we could just film.
I'm
it.
glad I'm not here next week, Josh.
So, who doesn't want a massage? There's something wrong. If Brendo was here, he'd be all
You
over
know
this.
who's not going anywhere? Fernando Alonso.
He's-
Fernando Alonso is not going to Sonoma.
You're the man.
You're
Sam.
welcome, guys.
You're
You are very welcome.
So there was rumors that came out at the end of another podcast, the Marshall Pruitt podcast of Racer.com.
Where they
along
don't
with
talk about
Robert
massages
Miller.
for 10 seconds.
So yeah, but they talk about Miller being sick for the first 10 minutes. Everybody's got to give you a little bit of personality. I happen to like massages, so that's what I was looking into. And I was thinking about. It said my mother wants to get like that Ancestry.com thing where they like do like a DNA swab of your
Oh
mouth.
yeah,
and they try to look
I
people
want to
up.
do that. It's like $200.
I'm like, all you're gonna do is find out things that you didn't want to know. I said,
Yeah.
instead, just
Eric
take
getting
the
with his
massage, be
cousins.
happy with it. No,
Apparently-
it goes backwards, not forwards. You silly rabbit.
apparently like
go backwards.
apparently like 2% of the people have Neanderthal DNA in them.
Oh.
I believe it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. So, anyway, with the Fernando Alonso story, when I was listening to this other podcast, it turns out that there was some rumor that perhaps the head of McLaren and Zach Brown wanted to try to get Fernando back in IndyCar before the
Chicken
season
fry,
ends.
Zach Brown?
And, no, the other
and
Zach
his
Brown.
band.
Okay.
The other Zach Brown.
Okay.
They want to try to get Fernando back in the IndyCar before the season ended. Well, the opportunity is kind of running out. Only 4 races left to go. And Sonoma came up. Well, I didn't notice when I first heard the story, and apparently nobody else did, that Sonoma is on the same weekend as Formula One in Singapore. So that's not going to work. You can miss Monaco to go run the Indy 500. I don't think you can miss Singapore to go run at Sonoma, California.
Now, Singapore wasn't as good last year, I don't think.
It wasn't, although it's probably on the same scale as Monaco. Like, like Ritzy, little street course race, except that happens
European.
in- Yeah.
Lead
Getting
Disney.
robbed when you're outside of the track
Do we have
property.
races like that in the States where they just like shut down like a whole town and just race cars through?
They did in Brooklyn for Formula E a couple
Yes.
weeks ago, which we all wanted to go, but we just couldn't.
Is Brooklyn really a town, though?
It counts.
Yeah.
Stop hating on my New Yorkers.
No, but they
Go get a massage.
What about Long Beach?
I want to. Long Beach, too. Yes, the Long Beach, which was in a heated battle over who was going to.
And
maintain
I'm going to
control
also
of
throw
that.
this in there when Kart ran in Vegas.
Yeah, well, there were a bunch of kart races that ran on street courses like once, and then they would fail.
Yeah.
Like Houston, San Jose. San Jose had the
Well,
railroad
I'm
tracks.
just saying that there are, to answer Robert's question.
It does
Yeah.
happen, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
But Long Beach, it has been probably one of the longest running or most notable.
We just spend
ones.
millions of dollars on these racetracks to just sit there and rot.
right. So
They
Maybe, like-
do.
Yeah, like there's like all kinds of like abandoned racetracks that are still like completely intact with the asphalt.
yeah,
I just want to go there one day and just look at a car and just have at it.
we could do that. I'm sure we could do that.
Boys have at
Yeah,
it.
go to
In
jail
fact,
though.
you would like. There was a story about Chip Ganassi who used to test at the secret tunnel. We've talked about it before.
Oh, yes.
And Darren Manning crashed in there once. I got to find that story and send it to you because you would appreciate that.
It was like also like this cup driver is a test on like salt fields.
Yeah, I guess they would do
Yeah.
that as well.
Well, the
that-
tunnel was in Pennsylvania. It's not all that far.
Yeah, I remember like
Like-
way out west, like western
No,
PA.
not
I
e-
think.
no, not
I
even
thought it was out by like
So
Pittsburgh.
like it's just like
closer.
shut the tunnel down or whatever and just test the cars in, or it's just like
It was like an
nobody
abandoned
goes.
tunnel.
It was part of the original, I believe, Pennsylvania Turnpike, where it was
Mm.
supposed to, and then they rerouted something, but the tunnel was already built, so it just became abandoned, and they used it to run cars through.
That's
and
why we're in
test.
dead.
What?
That's why we're in dead.
Yeah.
I can see I'm not gonna get home till like very late.
I think I found the
get
story.
the address.
It's a really detailed, descriptive story, and I'm going to send it to you, Robert. And also, I'm going to recommend that our buddy Sam, who runs our social media here at the RPM Podcast, throw it up on our RPM Podcast Facebook page.
Throw it up for
Let
you.
me go first, though.
So also, speaking of IndyCar, Sebastian Bourdais returned to the cockpit for the first time since his savage crash in the Indianapolis 500 qualifying.
Oh, I just every time you watch that crash, that just
Wait, I think I've seen that on YouTube. It's like when he goes up the grass and hits the wall.
no. He just got a hair loose, a little wiggle, and normally they would let off in the back end of the car will go in or the side. He went on mostly front first or head on, and
Fly directly to your forehead.
Yeah, it's violent. Well, I think it was Hinchcliffe that had the suspension go through his leg,
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
and that was bad. But that wreck didn't look as bad
I
from the
received the
outside.
message.
Bourdais looked, just absolutely horrific. I don't. Just watching it, you'll see how. Ugh.
The most amazing thing was when you saw the
It
wreck, you
was-
thought it was a life ender. Then when you saw him moving around, you thought it was a career ender. And then when you heard Sebastian Bourdais on the phone during the Indianapolis 500 telecast, when he said he at the time he wanted to make 24 Hours of Le Mans, you knew that wasn't happening.
Right.
You knew for sure that wasn't happening. Then he said he wanted to come back before the season's over. The fact that he is testing a car in Mid-Ohio before that was Robert Kubica's
Yeah.
crazy wreck.
That was insane. Like
Yeah,
his head
we were
wobble.
talking about that last week because he just had his first test in a Formula One car since that happened. But the fact that Bourdais is testing at Mid-Ohio with 4 races still left to go in the season, eyeing a return at Sonoma the latest, is incredible. In fact, I even think that they want him back in the car at Watkins Glen, which should be the next road course race.
There you
Here's
go.
the wreck, Robert, as they pull it up here on the
Ooh.
television screen that was provided by our buddy Robert French.
Little wiggle, and it's just a violent.
And that was after setting the 2 fastest laps of the day in the 231
that's
mile an
even
hour.
worse.
Right. He was on a pole-winning run or a lap that would have put him in the Fast 9 for the end of the day. Just insane, and happy to see that he's back. Also, we talked about
but
silly
you can see the number if you do go and
He's
watch that
lucky he didn't
replay.
get in the fence.
Yeah, well, they were saying that with the new design that.
Less airborne.
Yeah, they've been getting much less with the airborne, but the Helmacho safety crew was right there, and they have the where they
it's
straddle the front of the
Kind
cockpit.
of instant too. It's fast.
But he was in the car for a while after that. But
Well, yeah, because they had to make sure his neck's not broken.
yeah, but yeah, that's again every time I watch it, it's just a little wiggle and then just
Yeah, that happened in the Cup too, like in Texas, like qualifying.
McDowell.
Yeah. He
Yes.
like flipped a bunch of times. Like it was like
Now the funny thing is with Cup car qualifying is apparently one of the things that they'll do is they'll actually almost like I don't want to say zip tie, but they'll tie back the brake calipers to give you no brakes. They will literally take the brakes away from you, and you cannot stop the car other than downshifting. And I'm wondering if that's what happened because there was a similar wiggle, and then just
no,
you
it's Texas. Yeah, so like probably.
I don't know, but I've heard of them doing that, and anyway.
I mean, those cars are kind of hard to stop, like going at high speeds. Like at Daytona, like I was pretty hard on the brake, but like I was also told like slightly rub the brake a little bit to keep the heat cycle into it. Because if you go like right to from cold to like really hot, the things explode.
I believe it.
Yeah, I think that's actually happened. I think I've seen that in NASCAR once.
Actually, it happened to Joey Logano at Kansas this year, and that was directed
Oh,
out.
when he took out,
They
out,
said
I
the
think,
caliber
Danica
exploded on the left
and-
front.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it might have been the right front, and the weight shifted, and it kicked the car to the left in the Danica,
Yeah.
and that's what started that whole wreck.
Yes.
Yeah, people thought like he like wrecked her and shit.
Now, on the IndyCar side, Sebastian Bourdais is probably one of the few who knows what they're doing in 2018. And I think that's another thing that Robin Miller and Marshall Pruitt touched on in their podcast was the fact that really only 8 drivers out of the 22-car field kind of know what they're doing in 2018.
But it also depends on if Andretti makes a switch with engines.
That's the big domino to fall. They have to see what Andretti is going to do. If he elects to switch over to the Chevrolet motor power plant, then you have Alexander Rossi and Takuma Sato, 2 big-name Honda guys who do not know where they're going to go. And everything is kind of hinging on that decision by Michael Andretti, and then the chaos is going to ensue after that. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see how this unfolds, and that may also impact what Fernando Alonso ends up doing, not for this year, but also next year, because Alonso's a Honda guy.
No,
So
I just.
I think he's more of an F1 guy than a Honda
he
guy.
probably is, but I think if he's not going to get, just like French was alluding to earlier, if he's not going to get the opportunity that he wanted, I think he already knows that he kind of threw away his really good prime part of his career trying to race for the McLaren Honda organization right now. Not the McLaren part, more so the Honda part. If it can't redeem itself, then why even bother in Formula One? I mean, is there really going to be a good opportunity for
But
him?
at the same time, wouldn't he? Okay, maybe it's not about money at this point in his career.
Probably makes more money doing F1 though.
But I think even a low F1 team would pay more than an IndyCar team.
And people come to actually watch him race.
I don't
in
even know
F1.
how F1 teams even make money.
Because they just seem to throw it all out.
Yeah, I mean,
Outside of
car-
Red
like,
Bull.
wasn't like a steering wheel like $500,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
unreal. If Rendo was here, he'd be able to give you an entire breakdown. In fact, I wish Rendo was here for this.
He's screaming at us right now. No, it was like 520,000.
Don't fool yourself. He doesn't watch.
52 cents.
I wish he was here because I saw an interesting note about Felipe Massa, and this is probably the last bit of Formula
Oh,
One
I
news
didn't get
that
to read
have.
that yet.
Basically saying that he sees no reason to walk away from the sport after this year.
I told you. what
Wait. So he
did
retired,
was a
came back,
scheme.
and now he's like.
I told you that, and you guys are comparing that crap to Dale Earnhardt Sr. winning the Daytona 500.
I was so upset that he came back in the first place. And Robert, if you're not familiar, and if our listeners aren't familiar, so Felipe Massa had this plan to retire after the 2016
And
season.
Eric and Nick were circle jerking and crying all over it.
Because at his home race in Brazil, he was running well.
in the rain, and
crashed.
he's walking out with the flag.
crashed.
Oh, my
Real
God.
freaking
And
Rocky
then he
moment.
carried the Brazilian flag back to the pit area from where he wrecked because it took safety crews forever to get to him. And he walked back to the pit area carrying a Brazilian flag and was met by his wife and his kids. And it was a great, great, great moment.
The balloons.
And you felt like it was the final
The flag.
farewell. Well, then the champion, Nico Rosberg, I almost said Nico Hulkenberg, the champion, Nico Rosberg, decides to retire suddenly. So Mercedes picks up Valtteri Bottas, who was the Williams driver that they had expected to assume the role as the team leader.
Mm-hmm.
So they called Felipe back and said, hey, we kind of want you to come back to fill that role now that we need some help over here. So Felipe came back for what we all thought was going to be a one-year thing. Now he's saying, I don't know if I want to walk away just yet.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't
Do you
get
think it has to do with the cars this year?
No, he says here, quote, doing what I like to do, enjoying it with no pressure, he added. I was a little bit unlucky the first few races, but I'm enjoying it now.
Yeah, it's probably
Unquote.
because like he's not trying to like keep into a team or whatever. So maybe like weight off his shoulders and stuff.
Yeah,
so
maybe there's less
he
pressure
had more
to
f-
perform.
Yeah, so he's more fun in a race car. It's like, wow, I like this again.
Although
Might as well keep doing it.
it's weird, and maybe talent's to blame because they lost Bottas, but I feel like that the trajectory of that team has declined. It seems like their results for this year are worse than what they were last year.
It's because Bottas isn't there.
And I mean, yeah, you can blame Lance Stroll, and he did have a podium at Baku, but it's like they just don't seem to have the same speed, and yet he's saying
Force
he's
India would have
having
won
more fun.
Baku if they didn't wreck each other.
Slower is more fun.
Well, a lot of people would argue that
Yeah.
theory.
I
Derby.
think when you have a slower division, it's more fun.
What you mean? You like thinner, slower?
Like Rallycross.
That was a
I
terrible.
would actually like to see like NASCAR do rallycross. Like the
See,
cars just-
Robert,
just
you
love-
seem like the kind of guy that would be a Rallycross racer.
Oh yeah, I would love it.
So,
Why is it the hat?
So what?
Well,
The hat?
No, he just seems he loves the off-road. Like when you and Mike Alcaro a couple years ago were having that fight for the win, and he kind of shoved you off into the infield. And
Yeah.
Mike, I'm not saying this out of disrespect. We watched the video, and he kind of shoved you off into the infield. So, plus, I know you wouldn't just put yourself.
I got dumped.
You might put yourself down there for fun, but I remember seeing you afterwards, and
There's
I'm
a
like,
clip for you.
it's not. I'm just saying. I
Right,
saw
put
him.
yourself down there for fun.
I saw him afterwards, and I'm like, man, you must be pissed. He's like, no, that was the most fun I had. I never had to control a car like that. And you just seem to like being on the ragged edge all the time.
Well, yeah, like things are different. Like once I'm in Legend Car division for so long now, it kind of gets like repetitive almost sometimes.
Well, Nick Van Wickler
like-
told me that you said you liked to start in the back because you get
Because
to
you pass
people.
cars, yeah. But
Yeah.
when it start,
Who says that?
Kyle
but
Larson.
I hate.
I'd rather
starting on the
fight
pole.
for- I'd
I
rather-
hate starting on a pole.
Well, I look at this, and I think you'll agree. I'd rather fight for 15th than
Win on
just
the
be
pole.
doing laps and not have anybody around me.
Yeah, it
It's so much
sucks.
more fun.
I don't
And
know
plus,
what the hell you guys
also,
are talking about. I want to win races.
Well, I don't know. Like since I won a couple of races, like it's not like major thing for me to win now.
A couple. You're the king of
Yeah,
the legends,
but, like-
Robert. You won the most at Wall Stadium in a legend car.
But like, Carol's catching up to me soon too. I think so. But like after like winning something like races, like it's not as important now. Like except for like
It's
the
boring.
One, not boring. It's just like I like winning. It's just like I also like to have fun. You know, like if I win a race and not having fun, it's not really a big deal for me.
If
I win, like if like my car's on fire or whatever, like last lap or like that's amazing. Like, for instance, like 2 weeks ago,
Flipping
like,
on the backstretch.
yeah, 2 weeks ago, I thought my car was on fire. The last 2 laps, I thought
I
it was
want
going
to
to
take
black
the flag on
I
my
was like,
roof.
well, my car's on fire. Did not black flag me. This is awesome. You know, like-
It's like we got to put you and Kyle Busch in the same room because I think that would be the equivalent of like ultra racing neutrality. Like the guy who has to win every week and the guy who just wants to have a good time every week. That's like two polar opposites. I think that would be a cool discussion to have. My goodness. But I would love to see you in a rallycross car. And at least you
Well,
may
he's
have
got
a
a
chance.
BMX background too, right?
no, I just work for a BMX stunt show. Like
But that's what I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah.
you're around it. It seems like you would enjoy it. So why not?
I mean, I tried. Like I think
Legend cars go on dirt.
during the Monmouth County Fair when we were doing the show, I think like halfway through, one of the riders let me try to bike on the ramp, and I was like, "This is awesome." So like the first time I got on top of the box, this is cool. Then they told me just to go straight down the launch part because I went up the landing because it's like less intense, and so like all right, so I rolled down and I was like, "Oh, that's easy." So I went to do it again, and I went up it, top it right down, and went up the other one, which is like a more steeper one, and it was like aluminum ramp, and it started getting like moist from like yeah, my sister hates that word too.
I wasn't laughing at the word. I'm just laughing at the description.
So like, so I didn't make it up the ramp because it's really steep. So I get off the bike, then I start sliding down because the moisture, and then like I fall. It was the slowest fall ever, and my friend stopped recording once I got off the bike, and he hates himself right now for me. Like
that would have been a YouTube moment.
I will definitely post that on my Facebook. I would definitely post it on my Facebook. Like,
That would've
that
been
was
great.
hilarious. Yeah, it was like that one time. Like I took my my GMC pickup truck back when I was in high school with my friend, and we had this BB gun. And what we would do is like
I like the direction this one's going.
so on my dad's property, we have a GoPro on, and we'd be driving around, and one guy be in the back of the truck, we're drifting, holding a strap in one hand and shooting the BB gun in the other hand, shooting at like log, big logs of like trees.
He means people's houses,
Yeah.
folks. He said, yeah.
So like we'd be drifting around, and like, as we're drifting around, he'll go in through the passenger window, and I'll climb out the driver window as we're driving, and like then like pick up the gun, like, switch off as we're driving. And one time I did like a S turn, and he thought I was just doing a regular drift, and so he prepared for one way, and he goes over the roof of the car. And like over like down the windshield, and like he just falls on the ground. It was so funny.
Oh my god!
I was laughing for a good 5 minutes before I asked if he was okay.
That's how you know you're good friends.
You
Yes.
you still have a license?
Yeah, I haven't got.
It was on a farm, right? You said
No, it was my dad's property. Like he built
it's like
before
back property though.
Well,
yeah,
he
it's
has a-
fine, Sam.
recycling center for like tree stumps and stuff like that. But it took us like years to like make the property acceptable for the DEP because it was like I think like good like 200 like feet like nothing but horrible wood. We actually found like a bulldozer buried in the crap, and like it was a huge like pond, bunch of snapping turtles and stuff. And then we filled took all of it out
Okay.
and filled it back in, and that took us like years to do. And so like a lot of it was still flat. And then I used to take my truck over there all the time and just drift around with my friend and screw around.
We got to hang out more.
Yeah, I used to do all kinds of crazy stuff when I was a kid.
He said used to.
When you were a kid. You still do.
Well,
now it's just not justified
no,
because
it's
you're
just-
older. So you
I
got to like
just don't
play
wanna go
off
to
the
jail.
stupid stuff.
I just don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, that's my problem, Robert.
Yeah, it's like you're 25 years old and you're drifting on the street like an idiot. Congratulations. Have a nice day. Nice day at the jail cell.
You know who's really good at drifting is Scott Speed. He won the the rallycross race at Indianapolis this past weekend.
Driver Andretti Autosport. In fact, as you noted, Sam, because you did our research for us, the Volkswagen Andretti team swept the front 2 spots. But here's the cool thing, and I know this is a little bit of a local tie, but if you're looking for something to do this weekend, right, Sam? This Friday? Yeah. It looks like Global Rallycross is going to be invading Atlantic City this entire weekend, as a matter of fact.
It's about time something good happens down there.
12th and 13th, yeah.
But on Friday, August 11th, which this is really making me itch to want to go to Atlantic City this weekend, they're actually going to be having a parade on the boardwalk. It's going to be for the second consecutive year. This is straight from the Global Rallycross website. The cars and stars of the Red Bull Global Rallycross will take over the famed Atlantic City boardwalk for a pre-event parade. This year's parade will culminate at Kennedy Plaza, where the top names like Tanner Faust, Steve Arpin, two-time and defending supercar champion Scott Speed will take questions on all the weekends, and all of the weekend competitors will be there to sign autographs. The schedule of events will begin as follows. At 6 p.m., the parade will begin by Bader Field. Then it will parade down to Kennedy Plaza. That's where the driver Q&A and autograph session will begin around 6:30. And then at 7:45, they will depart back from Kennedy Plaza. In fact, the entire parade route is available at the Global Rallycross website. That is cool.
That's like the old Miss America parade they used to have back down there.
I saw the post on Facebook for the rallycross. Like, oh, this is cool. It's like coming up soon. I was like, I'm definitely going to do this. I'm about to show my friend. I was like, wait, I looked at the dates. It was Saturday, Sunday. I was like, racing.
Yeah, but I'll tell you bring up a great point, Rob. I mean, this is cool, and it's different. And I think that rallycross racing as a whole is cool and different.
I shared it on our Facebook, by the way.
Well,
Good.
Sam, I feel like that they should just hire you because they don't promote this thing ever.
No.
Like last year, it was like, oh, what they're coming to AC, and then you look and it's like, oh, it's like
It's
today,
like tomorrow, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Or it's yesterday.
Why are we here?
You know,
Or in
I
case
mean,
your case 3 days ago.
like
Yes.
like the indoor programs are amazing because you know about them months in advance, and then just the intensity of the marketing it kind of magnifies itself as
But
the event
even
approaches.
the indoor stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah, because they got it out there. It's out there. It's in the open. You know what's going to happen.
But they even
This stuff,
have,
it's
like,
oh, by the way,
posters.
I'm going to tweet them right now.
Well, one thing that'd be pretty cool, though, if, like, you know that huge pit behind Wall Stadium?
yeah.
Yes.
Someone would just buy that and make a rally track there.
Yeah.
Well,
That'd be so
or
cool.
or,
Or a
for,
road
for
course.
Global Rallycross, right? They could do what Drift does, and they could kind of incorporate the 1/3 mile oval track into their program.
Well, if
Then
they use
jump out
if
of
they
the
use the
pits.
driver's
Might have
pits,
to widen the pit exit and pit entry.
yeah, if they use
just
the
a little
driver's
bit,
pit,
but
then that makes a lot of sense. But like I don't know how that would work out. I think I was thinking about it beforehand, but
you could probably make
or-
some modification to make Global Rallycross track at a Wall
I
Stadium.
mean, I've worked on the Wall Stadium walls a couple times, and it is a pain in the ass. With like the bulldozer that doesn't have like proper brakes, and you have to keep constantly on the throttle to keep it up there, holding a giant piece of guardrail up, and not get run over, with like a blowtorch going in 90-degree weather.
No, it sounds like a blast.
Oh man,
Sounds like an absolute blast.
I
So if you want to
hated
have a
it.
better time and you're not coming to Wall Stadium Speedway, go down to Atlantic. I might go down just Friday just to kind of see if I can get out of work in time. I'm using up way too many mulligans at work, by the way, for racing. I took Friday off. I did work a double Thursday to subsidize, but I took Friday off to go to Stafford, which I'll tell you more about that when we come back on the other side. I'm going to go down to Thompson tomorrow, so I'm working a half day. Maybe I could sneak out a little bit early to get down to AC Friday. I don't know.
We're in the height of all the racing.
I know, like, I don't want to
It's-
let it pass up. Like, this is my time. This is Eric
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
Although if
The
you
air
know me
show is
well
gonna
enough,
be-
all the time is
I
Eric
say
time.
people should go to Wall Stadium.
Oh yeah, no, I'll definitely be at Wall.
Slash
I'm not
Woody's.
missing another race at Wall.
I might go to Wall this weekend as well, and I want a headset.
You could.
You didn't give me one last week.
Well, you were.
I was right
busy.
next to you.
You were busy though.
Yeah.
You were taking care of business.
No, I was there watching the factory stocks with you.
You know who else is taking care of business? All the drivers at Wall Stadium. Every single regular season division was in action, and we're going to tell you where everybody finished, some of the cool things that happened. We'll talk about the event at Stafford for the Tour Type Modifieds, actually the NASCAR Modified Tour that was, and what's going on at Thompson tomorrow. Also, what's happening at Wall Stadium Speedway this week, and a whole bunch more in our local segment. We come back on the other side of the RPM podcast. We'll be back.
Got a question you want answered? Email us at racingpodcastnj@gmail.com.
Welcome back to RPM Podcast.
Thank you, Bryce. And as Bryce said, you're listening to the RPM podcast with Josh Matthews, Sam Ballard Jr., Robert French in the house, and I'm Eric Brennan.
Yeah.
Kevin Finnick Rendo. and patiently awaiting this answer from Mama Dukes.
Why does everybody?
What?
I swear everybody's like they call their mom Mama Dukes.
Well, I call her Ma.
Well,
Like I had to fill out an
go back
emergency
to
contact
doll,
form.
please.
No, I like Ma.
My sisters call like Papa Dukes and Mama Dukes.
I
see,
don't
it
know. I don't
works.
get it.
I never even heard that
Mondo
before.
Duke.
I don't get it.
Oh,
Like, where's that from? Or this is weird.
Apparently, there's a. Oh, okay.
Yes, he realized.
No, Sam.
Sorry I asked.
No, Sam. No, like I feel like I was being set up for like a really long story or something. So, as we mentioned earlier, it's my mom's birthday today. Sam wished her a happy birthday on Facebook, and she said, "Thank you, my number 4 son." So the joke in the house is my brother Scott is number 1. I'm number 2. So if Sam's number
Yeah,
4,
you're
I
number
had to
2,
ask
alright.
who was number 3, and she goes, "I was waiting for this question." It's like, and then she goes, "See," and then she was typing for a very long time. So I was like, I feel like I'm about to get told that I have like an adopted brother in Africa or something.
There
But then
was
she
one
said,
night that
it's my friend D, who I've been best friends with for a long time, and I actually haven't talked to him in a little while. So maybe this is like my intervention period. But
friend D.
she goes, he's been number 3 for years. Sorry, Sam, with a crying emoji.
Oh, I'm not sorry, Stephanie.
So,
So
Thank you.
you're number 2, and her third son is D.
yeah, D.
This is
Wait, how you know your number? How do you know you're number 2 and that's somebody else?
Well, she had Scott in 1975. She had me in 1990. So I guess
that's a hell of a gap.
Yeah, it is. You could. She lived an alt-right lifestyle. That is not
jeez.
fake news. I'm kidding, Mom. I'm kidding. I don't even know what alt-right means. I'm just picking up on all the political lingo because I try to listen to political podcasts. to be
Don't
important,
stop.
But it's not working.
Stop.
Believing.
Anyway, what's going on with this?
So I happened to stumble upon, as I said earlier, like Sam's game of words with friends.
Insert segue for local here. That couldn't have been more poignant.
And he still messed it up. There was no segue.
Well, it's important on this show for people to understand our personalities. And right
And
now,
the lack of personality you are.
yeah, there's a
Burn.
lot of personality there. It's just flawed a little bit. I happened to stumble upon a story which was shared by RacingAroundJersey.com. ESPN's Ryan McGee did an incredible write-up on Martin Truex Jr. and really what has been a comeback of his career. And it also highlights the personal struggles that his girlfriend Sherry Pollux is experiencing. I'm not.
What
gonna
does
go
she have
into
again?
It's I believe it's stage 4. Is it 4 or 3 ovarian cancer? I apologize.
Wait, isn't it,
I should
terminal?
know. It's bad. The survival rates are really, really difficult after 5 years. It's tough. So
The problem is the biggest problem is that she had that relapse.
yes. So again, I feel terrible for not knowing the specifics of it because
But she
I
did-
sometimes confuse because I have a nephew who has stage 3 rhabdomyosarcoma, so it kind of gets in my head. It's you almost want to say the C word is all in the same, especially Josh, what you're going through.
I don't have a stage though listed.
No, it's a different type.
NASCAR didn't handle.
Yeah, you're the
me.
credit one final lap. You don't need no stage. Anyway.
It was stage 3 ovarian cancer for Sherry Pollux. So
Okay.
I just
But
wanted
she
to-
she had been she actually looked pretty good in the Victory Lane thing.
Yeah, she wasn't there for Martin's last win at Kentucky. She was
Yep.
there this past weekend. So if you want a good read, it's ESPN.com. Just search Ryan McGee and read the story about the comeback trail that Martin Truex Jr. is on. Now, on a more local level, Wall Stadium Speedway was a lot of fun this past week. But before I get into that, Robert, I want to pick your brain about something that happened 2 weeks ago, and that was Peter Bruno's wreck. And he was there Saturday. I got to see him at the end of the night at Nick's trailer.
Yeah, we were hanging out all together.
You have your GoPro footage of that. You have it
2.
right in front of you.
2 GoPros.
What was going through your mind when that car got up in the air?
Well, first I was just like, first I was just looking around and see if I'm not going to run into anybody because I was kind of looking at him flipping on the fence. You could literally see my head like this with the camera because my helmet, camera's on my helmet.
Yeah.
And I just like look at him, and it felt like I was looking at him a lot longer than the actual footage time was.
Does time feel like it just slows down
Yes.
Well,
when you see something?
yeah.
like
it's
that?
just
Don't-
you
don't
take-
lie.
No, it's just you take in more information at once. It makes it seems like it's slower, but really it's just you're seeing things at the same time. But you just see more detail of it, and that's when you think of more detail of like a, first like a clip in your memory, whatever. It lasts longer because you're analyzing each detail. That's probably why. Like
I
people,
remember
yeah.
watching a story where Derek Cope talked about the wreck that he had at Richmond in 2002, where he had the stuck throttle, and
I
that
was
was
thinking. I was thinking of the one where he drove. I think through Earnhardt, when Earnhardt was upside down.
that might have. That might have been somebody else. The one that
I
Cope,
know Cope was involved with it.
It was
but yeah.
what was then the Busch series at Richmond. He had a stuck throttle going in turn one. He hit the wall so hard it actually peeled part of the roof bodywork off the car. And I remember him saying that speed is relative. It's kind of like a relative term, and it's a relative thing, and it doesn't feel like you're going as fast as you are. And when things like that happen, you feel like you have more time to react than you really do because everything just seems to slow down. And I guess that could relate to what you're going through.
Well, I mean, like yeah, but like you could do actually like react like after like you experience muscle a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, like me getting like spun out or whatever. Like I know to put the clutch in and stuff like that. Or that one wreck at Turkey Derby where when I got squeezed with Novak in the wall and I hit the outside turn.
Mm-hmm.
I knew like to not damage this motor. So like I hit the throttle a couple of times. You can actually kind of see in the video to rotate the car more. So I hit on the side instead of like head on, kind of.
See, I don't. It's like when Kyle Busch broke his leg. He was able to give a whole synopsis in his head about what he was thinking at each time. It's unbelievable how you drivers react.
Yeah, or like when I dodged a car going down the infield and downshifting and keep going, like
I can't. I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's weird, but the same way I think that I can't do play-by-play. I'm sorry, I know that I can't do play-by-play.
Neither can I.
I disagree, but in that same sense, I think is what you're feeling. It's everything does. I mean, it feels like it's. I can remember coming up on wrecked cars, or in the middle of avoiding it, and you're, sometimes you don't know how you're going to avoid it, or is the car going to work, or do what you want it to do to avoid it. But how much, like you said, detail that you take in.
Yeah, you see
in that moment.
Yeah, and that's why it feels like it's slowing down because you're seeing more.
Yeah,
You know?
your eyes just go.
Yeah, and
It's like the only thing I could relate it to is if I have like an oblique moment on the street but then it's happening in real time, and I'm just saying if I have somebody in the car, I'm like, I got it. If I don't have somebody in the car, I'm saying, oh repeatedly until it works itself out.
Baby Jesus.
Until that day comes where it doesn't work itself out. Then
a lot of my racing experience or whatever is just me winging it. Like I just go for it. Like for instance, like last weekend there was like oil on the track, and I thought I was gonna hit the wall, but I was like literally like I think like half an inch away from like hitting the wall of my rear tire coming out of turn 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I just kept my foot in it, but I literally felt my tire spin on the grass where the wall is. That's how insanely close I was. But I literally just kept my foot in it because I was like, oh, I'm gonna wreck. But I just kept my foot right in it, and it's like, oh, it worked out.
I don't know how you guys do it. And you guys went back and did it again this week, although Peter didn't have the car back. But he said he's hoping to come back next year after being able to talk to him, which is great because at first didn't look like he was going to come back at all.
Yeah, I actually offered a backup car for him, too.
That's cool. That's because you got to drive his car
earlier
in the year, which
was
really
neat.
Fun.
That
was the first time you drove a car in a legend car race that wasn't your family-owned one, right?
Yeah.
In a feature.
Like, I've driven a car, like my Truex car, the orange roll cage.
Right.
That was like the first time I ever drove that car. Was like after Kevin Yates was working on it. We brought it to this track I'd never been to called Coastal Plains. And like by lap 5 of the race, I got used to the track enough where I was passing cars on the outside like nothing, and ended up finishing like 3rd from like 25th.
That's wild.
And I for instance, that was my first time ever at that track, and no one ever suspected me like finishing top. I didn't even think about that either. So I just went right back to the pits, and I usually to use the top 3 cars at Victory Lane like Shenandoah does. I had no idea, so they had me come back from the pits and got interviewed. But it was pretty funny.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Now, this past week, you didn't get to get interviewed. In fact, it was your buddy Nick Van Wickle that got interviewed after he finally won his first ever legend car race. He's a guy who's been upside down before in a legend car at Wall.
Oh, yeah.
But it was so cool to see Nick finally get that win. And I mean, and I'm not supposed to be biased, but in my position at the track, and I'm not. I love all of you equally.
Just a little
but
bit.
You just love everyone.
But I do. I really don't not like anybody. That list is non-existent, to be completely honest with you. And I'm including everybody on my personal life. Like, I don't have... If somebody put their hand out and needed help, I would not turn anybody away. I'm weird.
Like that fan
Well,
that you picked up and brought to the track, and you let him hold your keys.
Yeah, the guy Martin from Staten Island. He was from Staten Island. How far could he really wander with my keys?
But he's from New York. You can't trust him.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
Like for instance, like I would help people I hate.
Yeah, like
That's me. Like
we got the same.
no matter like what,
but I
but
really
like
not like anybody.
I do like have like probably like 5 people I just really hate.
I mean, there's probably plenty of
But-
people that hate me, whether they tell me or not.
Yep.
But thanks, Sam. That one I kind of knew, but I still love Sam. You know, so and apparently my mother does too because she adopted him recently. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But like Nick let me sleep on his couch in his hotel room in Atlantic City because I didn't plan on going down Friday, and I'm not one to like try to leech off somebody. I was willing to get the room. He's like, "Oh man, just come crash with us." So I ended up staying with him and his girlfriend Justina.
There's Nick's first mistake.
So no, it was cool. I don't remember that night at all. We had a really good
Oh,
time.
that's where that picture
So-
of the panties came from.
That there is no picture.
Eric?
See, when somebody says something like that, you can't defend it because if you say the wrong thing, then it sounds like you're trying to cover something up. But
Cover up.
but
Conspiracy.
it happened. So and actually, what was cool is, and I mentioned this after Nick won. He had no help on Saturday. He showed up. His dad was getting there late from work. His girlfriend was getting out of work late. And because the night ran as quick as it did, I was worried they weren't going to get there in time to see the feature. But thankfully they did. They got to see him win his first race, and that was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm happy that his dad even saw it too.
Yeah, Jim's
But like
a great
for instance,
guy.
like we parked right next to Nikki, and we help him all the time and stuff. Like even like Chris Cole showed up with like no help, and when Peter Bruno came, I just told Peter like if Chris needs a hand, whatever, like a wreck bumper or whatever, just help him out.
And that's what's cool about the Legend Car division at Walls. It really is a tight, even though it seems to be dwindling in terms of car count.
A lot
it's
of our cars are wrecked.
it's a very tight fraternity of drivers. I mean, like, and almost every division at Wall seems to be that way, but it seems incredibly noticeable in the Legend Car ranks where every time I walk back there, and you guys were always in the back, right by the quarter midget track, you guys are always mingling and talking and hanging out together. And I remember when Jim Davison was part of the Legend Car camp, like he was a big advocate of that as well. And if somebody wrecked in practice, you guys would all come over and try to lend a hand to try to get the cars back together. It's a really tight-knit group of guys, and it's nice to see one of the good guys do well, like Nick. So so that was really cool.
That's like one of the high points of my life. It's like he's like the whole thing like on lap 20, and then like usually like, aggravate people. I really don't get aggravated at all. Like I don't even know really know what happened. Like people told me like he just dumped me, but I'm like whatever. Like
Now, what you're alluding to is after you and Louis Caritas had actually gotten by Nick Van Wickle for the race lead.
yeah.
And then it was contact from Caritas' front bumper to your rear bumper. Wasn't sure if you wanted to talk about this or not.
Yeah. Well,
But what do you think happened?
I don't know. No, I have no idea. Like, Christ is not the person who would just wreck people, you know? I mean, he's a clean driver, like, race with him all the time. But like, people are also telling me, like, I was out of the turn, and, like, I usually, like, since I don't really think about, like, people just blatantly wrecking me or whatever, like, I just don't think about it too much, and then the fact that I didn't think about it much is, like, I don't know anything about it too much anymore. It's weird. But, I don't know. I mean, like, a lot of people are telling me, like, he did it on purpose, and, like, this one girl just really hated him and just, like, came up to me, like, cursing, like, saying, like... I was like,
Racetrack
okay.
drama.
Yeah. So, I have no idea.
It didn't look intentional, but the officials elected to place blame on Caritas, which I see. He may have hit you at a bad spot or at a bad time or just hard enough, and you guys got put to the back, and that kind of opened the door for Nick to get a second shot up front. I believe Louis did kind of chase him back down. You got to fourth, and Louis was on the back bumper, Nick, at the checkers, but just couldn't get around him. So that will tighten up the championship battle as we go forward. You still hold the point lead. They updated it by 2 points. Now
It's going to be interesting.
It was a good race to watch.
It was a lot of fun. Also, the modified event, the 304 modified race.
Well, before we get to that, I want to say I can't make fun of the sportsmen this week. They went green.
Caution free all the way through. Jarrett DeGiant
Was
Tommaso.
it
It was
because
a
they
full
had
moon.
less
What?
cars, though, right?
I believe they had about 15, 16. So it's still healthy.
Because the modifieds even had, like, 13.
Yeah, they
Because, like,
about 4. I think, yeah, right around there. 13, 14, 15.
I'll say this:
somewhere.
there was a full moon, and I was in the tower. So put it together. Maybe that's what.
There you
caused
go.
it.
Good luck, charm. That's what we needed. We needed Josh in the house to fix that. Jarrett DeGiant Tommaso got the win in the sportsman. Brian Doyle went back-to-back in limited late model. Brian Osborne got the win in the fourth-cylinder ranks, extending his point lead. Modified race, one of the best of the night. Cone race came into play even after they went, I think, 22 laps or so, clean and green from the start.
Yeah.
Derek Hopkinson went to the outside after Shannon Monjo led the first 36 laps. Race came down to about a 4-lap shootout. Monjo maybe didn't get the drive in the middle of the corner they wanted. Blake Barney was right there as well. Little bit of contact between first and third. That was all that Hopkinson needed for that momentum to break in that bottom lane to shoot out in front and win what was his second race in a row.
Well, also I know Ricky Collins and Blewett got together, and they put.
What
Blewett
makes you
to the
say
rear.
that?
Instagram.
One of the highlights.
It happened. It did happen, and they have gotten together before. And if history continues to repeat itself, it may happen again. Now, not biased. I love everybody. I am going to Thompson tomorrow with Ricky and Blake. We're going to go watch the NASCAR Tour Modifieds at Thompson Speedway tomorrow, and they're the only two that jumped up the opportunity. Which, by the way, if you guys or anybody else, if you're listening by the time I leave tomorrow, if anybody wants to go, if you want to go,
I had to work on their race.
I'm ducking out early. We're meeting at my house at 11, and we're going north.
Yeah.
Sam, you want to come?
I got CCD.
I mean, I
Womp
still have my
womp.
GoPros in from Saturday. I haven't even gotten out.
Awesome. So I'll be able to get an inside perspective on that.
Oh, I want to say it was good to see Greg Miranda back again with the late models.
Yeah, he's been running all year.
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't been there
Yeah.
in a while, but I remember he had a pretty horrific wreck a few years ago, coming off of turn 2, got into the guardrail, and the guardrail started to give, but he went right into one of the posts, and I remember he ended up fracturing his hip.
That'll stop you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a think about watching that Bourdais wreck. It was kind of one of those just
Yeah.
right, and then the car it didn't bounce off. It stuck like
yeah.
a ball of clay.
Well, isn't like the late model division like not going to be here full time next year or something? Or-
I don't know what's going on with that. I know the car counts are less than stellar in that division.
it's been like pretty low for like last couple years in a row now.
It does seem that way, with the factory stocks going to a slick tire with the Hoosiers, you can't help but wonder, is that going to end up kind of replacing that, and then something end up replacing the factory stocks? I don't know what. I'm not sure they're there yet. But
The thing
that's all
where-
speculation. There's no.
Yeah, there's not. I haven't heard anything directly yet. The rumblings are there. But I don't.
But I mean,
know
I think
what
it's
direction
going
gonna go.
throughout the.
I mean, I like the
posts.
division.
Well, the
Like-
thing is, see, and my argument always was that you need something like the limited late model division or what was the street stocks, because that is the closest thing that you have to what's on TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the most resemblance that you see from the product on Sunday to the short track on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well-
but it's hard. It's hard to get
Well-
people to go out and,
But isn't
and
it
buy those
because,
types
like-
of cars.
No, isn't it because like of tech rules or something like that? Because there's plenty of late models around, but they just go to different tracks.
Yeah, there's all sorts of. See, that's why I stay far away from tech as much as I can. One, because I'm not smart enough to deal with that stuff, and two, because that's where it gets sticky and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I'm such a good driver. I've never been to tech. So I
Good
really
boy.
can't comment on that.
Really good boy.
I mean, I never really mind tech unless it was like really, really hot out and we're like there for a couple hours. That's like ridiculous for like $250, you know?
The other cool thing about the Ledger Car stuff is you guys are kind of under a national rule book. There's a
It's a
couple
spec
of local
series.
changes that Wall has to enforce as a local track, but a lot of it is, Josh has said, spec. It's
Well, I
all
still think
the same.
INX plays like favorites to like certain drivers and stuff.
See, it's
Like
that's
it's
weird.
Like everywhere is like there's always some sort of corruption in a way. Like this one driver got disqualified in a spectacular race for finishing second for the big motor,
Mhm.
and then like it's not an INX sanctioned race whatsoever. Then like I heard like rumors of people saying like that they changed the rule, saying I got big motors now. Then like when everybody started asking about it during the racing season at the beginning, then they were saying, oh no, the rule never existed.
You see, I used to hear stories about back in the day when there used to be Legend Car dealerships, and like
That still is.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
There used to be a lot more then. I remember when I was a kid, I would make random phone calls because I thought I could be a race car driver before I found out how expensive it was. I would call up and stuff. But apparently, like there were guys who one of them told me that they used to have a chart on the wall saying how fast do you want to go, and there was a dollar amount next to it. Like how much you wanted to pay was how much work they would do to your car, legal or not. That would be the risk that you were taking.
Well, I
Well,
remember a lot of people were complaining throughout, whether it be message board or Facebook or whatever, and about spending, just overall the cost of everything and people being outspent and whoever has more money. Think of baseball and the Yankees just buying the best players, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And Eric Graham had said, this is back when he was running in Legends. He's like, I run in a spec division and I get outspent every week anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you get that anything division really.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you always get rich people versus the working class, kind of, and like, it kind of like I wish there was a spending limit you could have on a race car.
The problem is enforcing it.
There was a suggestion on the Cup side by a co-owner of Richard Petty Motorsports.
They do
about
that
putting
in
up a
Formula
spending
F1,
cap.
don't they?
The-
Like you can't spend more than a couple $1 million on your car.
It's hard to police.
But the problem, yeah, it's one of those things that somebody else buys it and then you buy it from them. And just like if you buy a car from someone and on the title they write that they sold it for $2,000 instead of the $8,000 that you actually pay. Just to reduce the tax that you're going to pay. So it's really hard to enforce or police that, and that's the downside. That's where you need something more like an IROC style.
Yeah, I missed that. Like, whatever happened to IROC? They kind of just disappeared.
It dwindled. It was advertised and promoted as well as IndyCar.
Well, they needed a sponsor to keep them going, and then
Yeah, it
once
was like
Crown Royal
Royal-
left, that was it was Crown Royal.
Crown Royal, yeah.
That's how you know Robert's not a drinker.
He
The other
puts
one's a
his money into
soda.
the car.
Yeah.
Royal Crown, RC Cola.
Yeah. RC Cola.
Yeah, it's a soda. Am I breaking my computer because I'm leaning on it? Yes.
Did we go through the rest of the winners from Wall?
Yes. Why, you got something you want to add to
No,
it?
no. I wasn't there. That's the reason why I'm so
didn't hear the
quiet.
factory stocks.
Scott Riggleman.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't say that.
I
You're
don't
right.
think you did.
I didn't. Sorry, Scott. Sorry. New T-shirts, Edge of Divorce Motorsports, Scott and Nancy Riggleman.
What do you guys think about the cone racing, though?
Thought it was great.
Yeah,
Great.
I always pick the bad spot.
And in the factory stock race, Richie Byrne elected the high side, and Tim told me afterwards, Tim O'Shea told me that it was intentional. I didn't know. I wanted to ask him, but then Richie broke. Again, that poor kid. He has one of the fastest cars every time he shows up, and the thing keeps breaking.
And I think that was the motor on that one.
Yeah.
Looking
Was
for
it
the smoke coming
Was it
out
Joe
the
Manjo
exhaust.
when the hood flipped up?
Yeah, coming back after electing not to go to Tech the week before. Which is what I was told. I didn't get to talk to Joe yet. If I did, I would give you all an insight as to what he told me. But I did. He can't actually. He arrived at the track super late on Saturday, and I was gonna head over to him when the drivers' meeting was getting going. And I like to go to the drivers' meeting to hear what you guys are being told, so I'm prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, that doesn't always work the way that I want it to, but. If I had a chance to catch up with him, I would let you all know because that's my due diligence. Unless he said it was off the record, which apparently Mr. Scaramucci, Trump's buddy, forgot to do when he gave one of his high-profile interviews. So I'm just saying, just bringing it up. At Wall Stadium Speedway this week, huge event, Fan Fest, something that's very popular for all the drivers and teams. Robert, I know you're excited because I'm excited. Because your race car is going to be out there for everybody to touch.
Fan fest.
Everybody's going to be messing with your car. Grandstands are going to open a little bit early, 3:45. Usually they open at 5. Now it's going to be 3:45. Reason for that is at 4:30 we're going to let you down on the racetrack with all the cars positioned in such beautiful fashion. Incredible photo opportunity for the track photographers. And we will have basically a party
great
on
process.
the racetrack.
Yeah,
So, fun for you,
candy
Mr.
and-
White Shirt, 'cause you
Honestly-
got to line those cars up.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Before I got to drive, I got to go to some of the Fan Fest things, and it was awesome.
And well, that's the thing. Back in the day, races at Wall used to end at midnight. And I say
Oh,
back
yeah.
in the day, like a couple years ago. Like we used to have some bad nights where we would end. So usually,
How you doing?
There you go, Sam. Everybody who's involved who helps make the wheel turn is directly responsible for the fact that we got out before 9 o'clock last week.
Yeah,
In
I
six
was
divisions.
impressed because usually 9 o'clock I'm still like getting out of tech
Okay,
or
so-
whatever.
Yeah.
Although they did shut the lights off in the pits rather early.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah,
that wasn't to get people out.
There was a reason.
I want to chime in real quick. Just try. I know we have a few drivers listening, and maybe it's a little bit more than I should go into it. As the grid steward at Wall Stadium Speedway the last 3 years, okay, we can get out by 9:30 every night
How's bragging camp going?
if everyone just behaved.
And that's
But
really
that's
all
boring.
it took. Yeah, you're right. That is boring.
'cause
For me, I'm the announcer. I need something exciting to
No,
talk
no,
about.
no, no. I'm
Wreck
just saying.
each other, flip
I'm
each
just
other,
saying,
do whatever
like,
you got to do.
Like this should.
Allegedly.
I'm just saying more on our end as the track crew and the officials and the track itself. We can get out in time every night. This could be a normal, and I don't want it to end at 9:30 every night because I like the show. I like people coming up and yelling at me. I'm weird. I enjoy that. It's what I get paid for. But what I'm just saying is that this is not out of the normal for us. We do very well. The track crew does a fantastic job, better than NASCAR. In fact, the fact that I have to compare them to NASCAR, it does them no good. But I'm just saying in general, Wall Stadium's a great track to be at.
And the crazy thing is, we had a couple people from the three wide message board. They were at the track. In fact, they were given the opportunity to start a couple of the races, and they left reviews. Usually, you would think a race night that goes by that quick, under 2 hours, 6 divisions, all fully featured, cone races, all that jazz. maybe there was no excitement, no passing, terrible racing. Exact opposite. I think all the races were really, really good. Sportsman had a late pass for the lead. Even the Legend Car race, all that drama that was taking place we just talked about earlier. Modified race, cone race came into effect. All the races were great, start to finish. Factory stocks and 4-cylinders, I believe the winners started like 10th or worse in both those features.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't ask for a better night of racing for under 2 hours' time in your regular short track program. It's phenomenal. And Sam, you touched on it. Everybody deserves credit, drivers as well.
And plus, like the point battles too are pretty good too.
Yeah,
I think that's what makes it more impressive. There's so much more on the line, and they're able to get it done in quick time.
Yeah.
Well, it's so much goes into it. It's really all the track personnel and the communication between everybody. It's been phenomenal, and like you said, to put on such a great show and not have them, it wasn't single file the whole time.
Unlike some races this week.
Robert touched on the point standings. They were updated, in fact, and we're filming this on Tuesday, so that's pretty remarkable by the officiating staff as well. So thank you to everyone who does that. You can check it out at wallspeedwayracing.com. This
Awesome
weekend, it is. It really is cool. They've done a great job with it compared to what it was 5-6 years ago. In fact, I remember after Turkey Derby one year when it closed, I checked the site in January. It hadn't changed since Turkey Derby. Checked the site in March. Hadn't changed since Turkey Derby.
Oh, yeah, that's when Jim Moore was running.
Yeah, then checked the track like first week in April. It's like, sorry, we're closed. It's all it said. It was okay. This weekend, we talked about the on-track party. That'll be at 4:30. Qualifying slate to start 5:45. Robert's Legend cars are going to be in action, sponsored by the Green Flag Driving Experience. 25 laps. Snap One Tool Sportsman Division showing 30 laps. Not sure if they're getting a promotion for their good behavior because they've been running 25 laps. I'll have to check on that. The Elite Maintenance Limited late models are back for 25 lapper. Brian Doyle told me he wants to go for 3 in a row. 304 modified, traditional 40-lap feature. Surfside Auto Body 4-cylinders, 25-lap feature, and O'Shea Auto Repair Factory Stocks, 25-lap feature. So, again, all 6 divisions in action as we are really in the home stretch heading down to the championship race last week of
It's
September.
almost over.
Crazy.
Actually, speaking of the Green Flag Driving Experience, it was really cool to see. I think it was Dennis DeVito was out there doing the ride-along.
Yep.
And I don't know how he got a lot of laps in, and that looked like if nothing else, I would like to be the driver and give a few people a ride.
Perfect segue. Went out to Stafford on Friday. Was with Ronnie Buck and Scott Marr primarily, but we were kind of shadowing Andrew Krause's NASCAR Tour Modified team, which Andrew was doing great, running 7th with a few laps to go. And then we heard that the power steering went after he got knocked around some of the late race crashes. So we kind of faded just outside the top 10, but he had a great run going. Really excited to go to Thompson tomorrow. But they have a 2-seater Troyer car, which it went out. It's like an SK. They went out with the SK feature, which
what tires do they have on it?
Whatever their SK tires are.
So they're probably a little narrower than.
Yeah, it's spec to run with their XK cars. Just has a second seat, window net. When they came to the green, the 2-seater stayed out, and it raced for like 4 laps.
Was anybody in the other seat?
Yes. It was unbelievable. And they actually crashed in front of him, and he had to woe it up and avoid the wreck, and they stayed out for a few more caution laps, then 2 more green flag laps, and it pulled off. You could never get away with that in the state of New Jersey.
No,
ever.
No.
Ever.
Well, I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
And I mean, Connecticut is a little, they're not like Pennsylvania where you could basically race in what you're wearing now. But like Connecticut's a little more buttoned up as well. It was what I mean. I looked at Scott Marr, who was sitting next to me. I was like, dude, the 2-seater's still out there. He's like, yeah, that's awesome. And then you hear the announcer say, and they name the guy. He's getting the ride of his life right now. Like, man, I don't know if that was planned. Like, what if the 2-seater driver just went mad and said, we're not leaving, and you just stayed out? Like, what do you do in that situation? You can't bail out.
No, enjoy
You
the
hold
ride.
on. Yeah, thank you.
You're
Thank
in a
you,
roll
Robert.
cage car. I mean, like, and a safety harness.
You're
I
in
mean,
Connecticut.
Crazy.
Pinkies up.
There's this one track where people race their street cars.
Oh,
on the
the
track.
spectator drags.
Yeah,
Irwindale
and
is
those
big on that.
They'll wreck, destroy each other. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, like one guy was fishtailing and just took out the guy who was racing and destroyed 2 nice cars.
Yep.
Crazy.
I used to watch on YouTube 5 years ago, and I just remembered that.
Oh, they're still out there.
But I think the state's run by the state police for the track.
Irwindale Speedway in California, they do that. Yeah, the police are highly involved in that. And it's an effort to try to get the street racing off of the streets where it could impact people who are not doing anything.
Because that's as expensive as racing is, in a way, it's not that bad to get. And this isn't just oval racing. I'm talking about if they want to do drag racing or whatever. They have nights that you can bring your car, and then it's not that bad. I know people who have, gotten together, a group of friends, and they rent out a track, like Atco, for a day or for a few hours, and then they set up a thing. It's just the same way we would do our go-kart thing down at Millville. It's maybe a little more expensive, but for the price.
Wait, go-kart thing in Millville?
The Arrive and Drive go-karts?
Never heard of it.
Oh, they're like 9 horsepower, like 50 mile an hour.
It's a good time. It's like pole position just outside and at Millville. It's a good time.
Well, there's one place called GoPro Motorplex in North
yeah.
Carolina.
That's in Connecticut as well, right?
No, that's in North Carolina.
That is
Michael McDowell,
be-
Justin
I'm
Marks.
sorry. I'm thinking of the. What's the new one?
So I think like you can hit like 60 miles
NASCAR?
an hour.
Is that
Up in Connecticut, the indoor
yeah,
track.
that's what I was. I
No,
got
that
confused.
GoPro is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
I'm
hit
going
60
there
miles an hour in that.
October.
I think if you put like a full size car on that track, this is so big.
It's a nice track.
Yeah, I mean, every time I go to North Carolina, I go right to that track, except for the last 2 times because we're rushed. But
I'm looking at going there in a few weeks.
lucky.
Let's get some.
Yeah,
See
leave it to
if you
Sam.
can beat my time.
Challenge accepted.
Also, to put a bow on my experience at Stafford, Ryan Preece, fresh off his Xfinity win. By the way, he was a superstar on the weekend. I mean, there were local media members around him. He was doing interviews, running around, all while trying to set up a race-winning race car. That was a problem I had during the twin races. I kept tripping over my R's and my W's. I got to get hooked on phonics or something. But moving on. And he did just that. Qualified second, got time disallowed for either being too light or too low. There were 2 cars that were disallowed for that. Craig Lutz won the pole for the race in what was a European-style group qualifying session. Race went off without a hitch. New tire rule. They can only put on 1 tire at a time. Kind of funky. Might start seeing that in some other divisions if it pans out well, because some of the drivers like it, some of them don't. Priest pitted with about 50 to go. Had to come from the back of the pack again. Was following Eric Goodale, so Goodale got caught up in a wreck. And then Priest started on the outside of a dominant Doug Colby for a green-white checker, took the lead, and the crowd went nuts. It was a great race. They're going to Thompson tomorrow for August 9th, and I am taking a half day from work and going because I had so much fun at Stafford, and I'm crazy.
Just hope your bosses watch this show.
Yeah.
They know. I told them that I'm going to go to the race because it's just I don't know. I'm weird, man. I need that's my decompressing moment. That's my therapeutic activities. Going to the racetrack.
I'm sad.
And they have like 6 divisions racing too. And I'm so happy. I'm going with. I said earlier. I'm going with Blake Barney, Ricky Collins, and Blake is the one who's texting me. He's
Is there any bathtub?
He's like
bathtubs?
hot tubs. I don't know if there is. I'll find one.
Oh my God.
Maybe one in the pit area. I don't know. People camp there.
Ricky Collins seems like he'd be a fun person to hang out with.
Yeah, he would. He throws like pallets at people in the woods and stuff.
And fish tacos.
No, I think he made a boat.
That's it.
Out
Yeah,
of
he made a boat out of a pallet and he was throwing tacos at people.
He
But
almost took a telephone pole home with him to make another boat.
I'm not going there because I didn't talk to him yet, and I don't want to get him in trouble. So
I'm teasing.
I may.
I mean,
But
I would
said
have done the
almost.
same thing because like I had that experience driving long trailers. Like,
it's hard.
Yeah,
I
I
never
mean-
did it. Also, Blake is the one who's like, "Oh, I want to be there for qualifying." I was like, "That's my kind of guy. Like I can't miss anything, and I'm not leaving early. If anybody
What you
ever
pay
asks me to leave
for.
early for a race, I will throw you out of the grandstands. I can't leave early ever. There's no reason. Why ever leave early?" That's my story, and I'm sticking
Dude.
to it. Also, Sam happened to dig up the fact that Tony Stewart and Rico Abreu will be
That
at
was all
Grandview
Josh.
Speedway. Sorry, that was Josh.
That was
Sorry,
Josh.
I stand
The funny
corrected.
comment underneath it was mine, though.
That's what made me assume it was you. Sam dubbed it the school bully versus the short kid.
Oh, come on. I didn't want you to say it.
That was PG. I could throw it in there.
Yeah, but I like Rico.
that reminded me of that YouTube video of like this big kid getting bullied by a small kid.
I
And
sound
he
like a
just picks
bud.
him up and just throws him on the ground.
Tony Stewart and Rico.
Yeah.
Both very talented drivers. Also,
a joke,
we
but I'm-
remembered Brian Clausen yesterday. It's been 1 year since we lost him. Remember, if you're not an organ donor, sign up now and donate and
Hey,
offer to give the
On
gift
top of
life.
that, health reasons, Matt Tiff, good to hear that he's as clear now for every 3 months they're going to check now, not every 8 weeks. So
That's good.
his health is back on the incline.
Awesome. I think that's it, guys.
All right. Well, what have we learned today?
I learned that apparently stud is a derogatory comment, but I haven't been able to find yet what it actually means. So,
I'll tell you in a
Why,
second.
just put why is stud offensive in Google?
okay.
What did you learn, Josh?
I learned that Brennan's doll thinks he's number 2.
I don't have a doll. That was my mother, but okay.
You called her doll, and she said you're number 2.
I meant doll like in Southern slang. I'm trying to get rid of the New York attitude. I looked at. Ooh, I don't know if I could say this.
Exactly. I learned that Eric likes cheap massages.
I don't see how that's offensive.
They're not cheap, but they're take home. They're massages to go.
Are they dry?
You got a doggy bag
No,
with
I
it?
didn't get it yet. I don't know.
Try.
If that website doesn't get shut down in a couple of years by the FBI, I'll be surprised.
Rob, what'd you learn
They
today?
sponsor a podcast.
Not
Hey.
this one.
No, but I'm trying. It's called marketing, folks.
I think they have to watch it though.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we should end the show.
Yeah,
We didn't hear what Robert thinks.
I have no idea.
What'd you learn today?
I don't learn anything.
Oh,
I will take it.
Sums up the podcast.
I'll take it. All right. Well, with that, on behalf of the driver of the number 98 Legend car at Wall Stadium Speedway and the king of the legends at Wall Stadium Speedway, I don't know if you wear that title proudly yet.
I like the name.
Get a T-shirt.
Yeah,
We
it's
should.
just like
we should.
I'm just happy I didn't come up with it.
Maybe that's what we'll do. We'll get Stephen Reed's going to choke me for this.
Yep.
Because he's still
Go ahead,
waiting on
say
his
it.
regular
Go ahead,
medium.
say it.
I was going to say we should get a T-shirt made for you that says RPM Podcast and the King of the Legends on it.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Elliot Wall, phone call, incoming. You're going to make that for me.
Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube,
subscribe to
iTunes. Yeah.
And also check out Robert French's YouTube account for that crazy footage from that
It's
wreck with Peter Bruno.
Fender Racing, one word, and you'll see my black car on the thumbnail for the
Insane.
channel.
It's one of the craziest videos you'll ever see. Crazy. So with that, Robert French, Sam Ballard Jr., Josh Matthews, I'm Eric Brennan. I'm going for a massage. I'll see you all Saturday at Wall Stadium Speedway for FanFest. Good night, everybody.
Go to Wall.